Strategy is a generational wealth opportunity right now at these ridiculous low prices. I personally think, as a Bitcoin self-custody maxi, that strategy will go to over $1,000 US. Specifically, I will talk today about a case making strategy a $1,280 share in just 2 years' time. And this is not a moon boy. This is a self-custody maxi that looked at the data, looked at the math, and came to a very simple conclusion. It is absolutely ridiculous what's currently going on. Strategy is trading with just $94 or in the pre-market $95 under. That's ridiculous. Under, and I think it never happened before, under $95 or $95.5, that what Stretch is trading at. Strategy share price went under this share price of Stretch. I would have bet a lot of money against that case, but it happened. And it shows us how amazing, how underrated this stock, MSTR, currently is. And I'm going to show you also why. I saw a lot of FUD out there of why strategy is a horrible stock, why it's so bad. And I wanted to go back and see what's the real data looking like. What is the business from a fundamental standpoint actually looking like? And if we see here, we have a BTC reserve of 840,000 Bitcoin. That's the second most Bitcoin held by anyone behind Satoshi Nakamoto himself, which results theoretically in a 33 years dividend coverage if Bitcoin doesn't do anything. And I think Bitcoin will go up for a very long time and also very sharply. And we are talking a little bit later on where I personally think Bitcoin is going in the next 2 years and where I think Bitcoin is going in the next 5, 10, 15 years. But they also have a US dollar reserve, providing them with 4.65 billion US dollars, which is, by the way, 4.5x more than all of the market cap of the number 2 competitor of strategy called ASST, meaning Strive. Strive currently has around a 1 billion US dollar market cap, and strategy has 4.6 billion US dollars on their US dollar reserve, plus 840,000 Bitcoin. It's ridiculous, the size that strategy is at. And some of those Twitter lunatics are calling for a bankruptcy, calling for strategy to go under and them having to sell all the Bitcoin. Crazy. This is genuinely the biggest asymmetric bet that I have ever seen in my investment life since I discovered Bitcoin over 6 years ago at around 3,000 US dollar per coin. And I want to dive deep into my thinking, why I think strategy will be a stock trading over $1,000 at a $1,280 in just 2 years' time. But for that, we first have to look at what Bitcoin will be trading at. Because I found something very interesting. I found the relationship between Bitcoin and strategy in the past 6 years, how they have been behaved, and how I think this will come up in the future, because right now, strategy is a lot stronger than it was the last 6 years. So I think strategy will do even better than what we see right here. In the past, whenever Bitcoin was going down or was flat, strategy was trading really, really bad. But whenever Bitcoin was going up, even a little bit, strategy was 1.18x better, up to when Bitcoin was going up over a 2-year period between 0 and 100%. If Bitcoin was going up more than that, 2x to 4x, strategy was another 3x better. And this is the chart right here. If Bitcoin went up, let's say here, 3x, strategy went up almost 8x from there. So in the past, every time Bitcoin was going up massively in a 2-3 year window, strategy was going up a lot faster and a lot stronger, especially if Bitcoin is ripping with 4x, which I think is very much possible. Now, this is a very conservative outlook. 165 is my absolute bear case for Bitcoin in 2029. I suspect Bitcoin being up at 200, 300, maybe even 400K in just 2 years, not 2029, so 2028 already. As I want to give you guys a realistic target, I was aiming for still conservative, but a little bit more realistic than 165. I want to go with 280,000 US dollars, which is actually what Bitcoin in a massive bull market has been doing on average. And this would mean strategy would then go to $1,281. Very simple math. It doesn't mean it's going up crazy. And I want to dive a little bit deeper with you today in Bitcoin versus strategy, because I hold most of my wealth in self-custody Bitcoin, but more and more material amount of my liquid net worth is in strategy. And that's how I think about it. Bitcoin in general, for me, is the better asset to hold overall. It has more freedom, more utility, the better Sharpe ratio, less volatility. And so like overall, Bitcoin is just the superior asset to hold. But now here's the reason why I'm so bullish right now on strategy, because it's a very fast horse when it comes to bull markets. It's the best form of amplifying your Bitcoin. There's no liquidation risk. You can just buy strategy, and no matter how deep it goes, you will never be liquidated because you actually don't have debt. It has a 3x on your Bitcoin. If you, let's say, take out a borrowing against your Bitcoin loan for like 20-30% of your Bitcoin, which is already a lot, and then buy another Bitcoin with that, you will never get to 3x. And if you do any kind of 3x amplification, you will most likely get liquidated. So having a 3x factor in bull runs for strategy is massive for you to amplify your exposure to Bitcoin. And just so you know, at least for me, in my situations, I get better terms to borrow against my MSTR shares than when I want to borrow against my Bitcoin. And here, once again, another chart showing how superior strategy is when it comes to bull markets. The harder Bitcoin is going up, the stronger strategy is pulling ahead. You see it here. Starting off like a 2x Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does a 2x or more in a 2-year window, this is where it really gets interesting for you as a strategy shareholder. And because we talked a little bit about how great strategy is and how horrible the FUD out there is for people to understand, is that people look at strategy, oh gosh, they sold 1,000 Bitcoin, they sold 3,000 Bitcoin, whatever the number is. They don't look at the full year. If you look at the full year, strategy is currently on pace to have the best year in Bitcoin accumulation ever in a bear market. Let me repeat this one more time. If they keep up the pace, including the Bitcoin sales up until now, they will have the best year in Bitcoin accumulation ever in the company history. In 2020, over 50,000 Bitcoin, something with 70,000. 2021, also a little bit over 50,000, 55.3, something like that. In 2022, they barely got any new Bitcoin. I think it was like 7,000 or something like that. 2023, again, around the 50,000. 2024 and 2025 was extremely successful because they had a massive high. They were the amplified Bitcoin bet. They had the size to it, and it was a bull market. Now, 2026 is a bear market. You cannot say it any other way. We are down massively since the beginning of the year. We are down 27% since the beginning of the year. And from the high that we had on 15th of January, we're even down 33%. So this is a bear market. This is not a correction. This is a very clear bear market. If you look at the development from the all-time high last October, were even down almost 50%. This is not an easy environment to raise money to buy Bitcoin. But they somehow succeeded with being on pace to buy the most Bitcoin in company history. That's a crazy fact, and most people don't understand how powerful strategy with that really is. Last but not least, I want to give you a little bit to think about. A question that you, if you are really bullish on Bitcoin, should think about when thinking about strategy. If Bitcoin will become the most valuable asset on earth, wouldn't it be logical that the company with the most Bitcoin is also the most valuable company? Isn't that something sensible, especially seeing how successful they are to buying Bitcoin in a bear market? Now, let's just see, what is the full scale of it? What is the current biggest company on planet Earth, and where is strategy sitting at? Currently, the biggest company on planet Earth is Nvidia. Nvidia has a market cap of 5.4, let's say 5.5 trillion US dollars. Strategy has a market cap of 38 billion US dollars. They are 141x apart from each other. I did not want to put this number in the thumbnail, but if that's true, without any inflation, without any money printing, this would put strategy at 13,000 US dollars per share. And this is my actual bull case. This is why I'm really into strategy, because I personally think that strategy will become the biggest company on planet Earth. I know this might sound crazy to you, but if you do the math, it doesn't sound as crazy anymore. But as always, this is your money and your decision what you do with it. And thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I'll be back.
This content is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial advice.